Alright, so y'all should have two papers in front of your desk. There should be a paper with two grids, but some of them are shaded in on that paper. And then your other one should be blank with nothing. It should have the two grids with nothing shaded, alright? So, everyone put the one that is shaded on top, and we're only looking at that one right now, okay? Alright, so decimal squares are grids that are divided into 100 smaller squares for hundredths, or 1,000 smaller squares for thousandths. And when I'm saying hundredths and thousandths, I'll write it up on the board so y'all can see it. So hundredths, it has THS on the end, alright? And same thing for thousandths. SANTHS, thousandths, alright? So each small square in a 100 square grid represents, so we have 100 square grid, and the 100 squared grid represents 0.01, which is 100ths, THS, remember? And each small square in the 1,000 square grid represents 0.001, which is 1,000ths, THS on the end. Alright, so we have a 10 by 10 grid, which is the 100 squares. And we shade in a certain amount of squares to represent a decimal in the hundredths. So if we shade 45 squares, which is the one that, so it's the top left one on y'all's paper. So 45 of them are shaded, correct? So it's on the hundredths grid. So we have the number 45, and look back up here for the hundredths, which is 0.01. So what would that 45 turn into if it's on the 100ths grid? Anybody know? Yes? 0.45? Correct. Because it is in the 100ths grid. So that decimal goes in front of that 45. And the 45 replaces the 01. Alright? Alright, good job. So, now we have our thousandths grid, which is in the bottom right of y'all's paper. It should have more little squares than the hundreds, right? Alright. So, it has it has 1,000 squares. Alright? So, if we shade 450 of those, which that one's already done for you, 450 squares. So we have the number 450, alright? So if it is shaded in on your 1,000ths grid, what would that represent? Where would your decimal go and the number is still the same? Yeah? Correct. The decimal goes in the front, so it'd be 0.450. So if we go back up here and look on the board, I wrote the 1,000, that equals 0.001, which is the 1,000ths. So if we go back up there and replace that with the 450, the decimal would be in the front. Good job. So each layer of 1,000 squares represents 0.1, which is 1/10. So each row within a layer represents the 0.01, which is 100th. And each individual square represents 0.001, which is the 1,000th. Alright? So, in front of you, you have the paper that we colored the 45 squares for the hundredths and the 450 squares for the thousandths. But here's where it's kind of tricky. They are both equivalent, because they represent the same amount of shaded area. So it's the shaded area, alright? It's just in different units, which is hundredth and thousandths. Alright? So if I give you an example, so if on our hundredth, if we have 35 shaded squares, so y'all go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do it. Alright, so what y'all get on the hundredths with the number 35? Everybody, alright, yes, correct, 0.35. And what y'all get on your 1,000th for your number 350 shaded squares? Yeah, correct. Y'all got 0.350. And they're equal, right? The shaded area is equal. Alright, good job, guys.